been working till 7 o'clock. I'm nearly always asleep by 4. I just feel like walking out, but I can't go anywhere at all because all the doors are locked and you have to have a pass to go from one floor to the other. It's awful and terrible.
When I first went into the factory, things were much more leisurely than they are now. It was, you know, a sense of pride belonging to the company, but with increased mechanisation, of course, and the pace is so great that really all you are is a number in the factory.
At the beginning, when people join us, we give them all a short introductory talk which outlines the main regulations which have to be observed. It is an extremely large firm, and if we didn't have one or two things that people had to remember not to do, chaos would ensue.
25 years ago, it was a privilege to work at the Players factory in Nottingham. Players Angels, the factory girls were called then. There was a waiting list to get in, as wages were comparatively high. Today, the basic wage for women is only £8.10, and there's a severe labour shortage problem. 2 years ago, Jill Smith left school and went to work at the Players factory. Jill was doing a monotonous job on a cigarette packing machine. She's quite bright and has been promoted to front girl, but she wants to leave as soon as she can find something more interesting to do. She may not have enough initiative to find another job.
I don't really know what else I'd like to do instead now. I think I've been there too long. I've got sort of set in my ways, but I definitely do want to leave. I don't want to stay there very much longer. It's so boring. I always used to want to do nursing when I was at school. And now I think I'll be a bus conductor.
Like Jill, Irene Fowler went to Players as soon as she left school. But that was 25 years ago, and she's still doing the same job she began at 15. Her younger brothers and sisters were able to receive more education and find interesting work. However, she's devoted her energy and intelligence to the trade union movement. Despite her efforts, she's been unable to achieve her main objective, which is equal opportunities for women in management.
Well, I was very lucky some years ago to be granted a scholarship to the Nottingham University for a day release course. And I was the only woman among 15 men who was given this scholarship. And I was very, very grateful of getting this scholarship because it did give me the opportunity of getting further education. And since having done this day release course, that the 3 men who were working in the industry have been given promotion. But of course, me being a woman, hasn't even been mentioned to me any type of promotion whatsoever.
Janine Clark, who is 24, is employed as a personnel officer. Theoretically, she's accessible to any of the hundreds of girls working in Factory 3 who have problems. In practice, many would not dream of taking their troubles to her. She's considered to be part of the management, and therefore they are suspicious of her. She has studied at Manchester and Cardiff universities.
This is always one of the difficulties in personnel work, as to whose side are you on. Are you management, or are you the other side of the fence? And when it comes down to it, in the end, you're management. It's something that you discuss and you have problems posed to you during the course that I did. Because you are working and providing facilities and providing a service for both sides. But when it comes to making a decision, you're carrying out management policy.
I'm going to do them all black now. They've insulted me. Upset me.
I've read about you in books.
Oh, don't let me... go without giving our mother my wages this week, will you? Not like that.
Here you are, girls.
Thank you.
Have you had a nice morning?
I like to come home at lunchtime because if you stay, well, we're in the factory for 10 hours now. And I think if I stayed in at dinner time and went up into the restaurant, oh, I'd go crazy. I like to come out for the break. I even look forward to riding home on the special bus at dinner time. It breaks the day up, you know. I'd go mad if I stayed in there all day.
No, she's not getting married. She's still going to live with that chap.
Oh, charming.
Fellow members, I still maintain that we do want equal pay, but also we want equal opportunities alongside our male colleagues to rise a little further than the humdrum job we started when we came in the factory and are expected to continue to do so till maybe, if we stay there long enough, we retire. I've maintained all through my association with the trade union movement that when the young people come in the factory, let's give them some form of education, day release, etc., etc.
Hey, missing Bill and Ben. Do you want to Tom?
Yeah, of course I do.
So they
My
climbed up
friend.
on the top of the flower pot.
Oh, that flutterby's.
Off they went again.
They haven't done anything wrong yet, have they? Gillian's my friend, and the reason I think that we get on so well together and that I like her is because she's so very much like me. She thinks all the things are funny that I think. You know, we've both got the same sort of reactions to stupid things, which some girls would turn around and call me mad. But Jill just joins in and laughs. She thinks it's good too.
Below was it then, to the least of men, with troubles to flower men.
Who do you think, Bill?
Ben?
Right.
No, Bill. What annoys me about the factory is the fact that we can't get out the factory. And when I've asked sometimes if I can leave early, I've waited up to half an hour before the time I want to go before I know I can go. I think it's a disgusting state of affairs.
Yeah.
Well, there shouldn't be any, can I do this and can I do that? We should be able to go and say to the management, I can't work tonight, I'm going at my normal time.
That ought to
That's
be
it.
That ought
But
to
they're
be
not. They give you the lip. They've got no girls.
That's it. We've got no girls, and why haven't we got
They can
girls?
get
Because
any
of the
girls.
petty restrictions.
Have any of you ever worked for us before?
Yes, I have. A while ago.
Well, I expect you'll find things have changed a bit in the meantime. The hours, for instance. We're now on a 40-hour week instead of a 42-hour week. We work from 8 till 5, and we have an hour's break for lunch from 1 till 2. Have a quarter of an hour tea break in the morning and a quarter of an hour tea break in the afternoon if you're working overtime. And as I think you all already know, you have to work the overtime that you're requested to do. And that can involve working till 6 and sometimes even 7 o'clock in the evening, and some Saturday mornings 8 till 12. You'll find that Players is a very punctual company and that the doors close promptly at 8 o'clock in the morning and again at 2 in the afternoon. They do open again at 8:15 and 8:30 and again at 2:15 and 2:30. And if it's pouring with rain, they'll open in the meantime, but they won't let you go out to your department. If you want to leave your department for some reason, you get a pass-out slip from your foreman, and you will find that if you wander around without it, you'll be challenged by the doorman on the door. 1 or 2 people would be popping off unless we had some sort of check on them. I have to win their confidence. That's possibly the first thing. It was one of my greatest problems when I went. You have to start off by remembering names and all this sort of thing, which helps them have confidence in you. You've got to be friendly, and yet you've got to remember that you are a member of a team of management.
When you have these young graduates coming into industry, they've had lots of theory and no real practice about industry, and they just consider, you know, that, oh, well, I'm just that little cut above the ordinary factory worker. And it's so silly, because the majority of those young people wouldn't be educated as well as they are if it wasn't for the fact of people like myself and many, many more who are taxed up the hilt to give them the opportunities they're getting today.
I never go to the personnel office. I'd rather bring a problem home, or even keep it to myself than go down to the personnel officer. The same applies to the nurse. I think I'd rather be dying before I'd go down, or I'd be knocked unconscious or something like that, and they'd take me down without me knowing. After I've been at work for the 10 hours, I come home, just sit down and watch television. Before I know where I am, I'm going back to bed and getting up again. It makes me feel very depressed and fed up, because we go in on Saturday mornings as well, so I've only got 1.5 days off. When I daydream, I just think of myself out of work. I think that's about all, just lounging about all over the place. It's the best dream I've ever had.
I became interested in the trade union movement when I went in the factory, because I realised that it was only through the trade union that we could hope to better the chances for women.
So I never go to any meetings, and I think that if I did, I should just probably sit there and laugh, you know, because I think they look so funny standing there waving their arms and their legs. And just probably be, you know, sitting laughing. I wouldn't listen to what they were saying at all. And the equal pay, well, with a firm like ours, I'm sure they'd be catching it somewhere. If we were all going to get equal pay, you know, they'd probably want us to work a lot harder.
Among other things that I do during my work in the factory is visiting pensioners. The firm that I work for has very strong connections with its pensioners. There are a number of activities that they invite them to during the course of the year, and they really do seem to look after them very well indeed. One of them in particular is Miss Smith, who's been retired for some years. Tell me how old you were when you started work. It's a long time ago.
It's a long time, but I can still remember it. I was 14 when I left school, and I was dying to go to Clare's because all my friends worked there. I worked in number 1 factory for 24 years on hand packing. Before they had the machines.
I didn't realise, I don't think, how much welfare work was involved, because had I known, possibly I wouldn't have chosen this job. And yet, in a way, it is very basic, as I say, personnel work, and it is very much appreciated. While I'm doing it, I thoroughly enjoy it.
Once we had the Australian cricketers round, and Don Bradman, it was at the time.
Oh, yes.
He stopped at that time and he says, how do you do that? He says, it's as hard as us playing cricket. He says, I says, well, it comes automatically. We could pick 10 up like that, or 20. Yes. Never missed. And they're so particular. They used to, you have to hold your hands out like that. If you haven't got nice hands and nails and nice teeth, they'd turn you down.
Good heavens.
And all nine of my friends came out breaking their hearts because it turned them down.
I was very nervous when I first went in. I hated it. We went into the training school. We were sitting around talking for ages, and all I could think of was going home. I wasn't going to go again in the afternoon, but I went. And I hated it for about the first 3 weeks, and then we started having a bit of fun and we got to know the girls. But it never seemed to, you know, it's the atmosphere as well, I suppose. I just hate it.
In the course of the work that I do at present, I've become involved with particular girls in the factory. I see them if we think that we can help them in any way, insofar as it's affecting their work. This sort of welfare work is obviously best done by a woman, and this, I think, is probably why it was first decided in the early years of the development of the personnel department to have women as personnel officers. Having been at university and mixed and talked with men on the same basis, I now find that I don't do that any longer, or at least I tend to try, and one doesn't get the same reception at all. You are on a different plane. Now, whether this is because I am in a strongly masculine-dominated company, and also industry is masculinely dominated as well, I suppose I've just got to accept the change, but it definitely is a great change from university, where you are on an equal level. In fact, a lot of the time you're outweighed, and during my courses I always have been outweighed. Probably we get spoiled.
Some women would rather be dominated by the male sex. I think they would prefer to be a second-class citizen. I've never accepted this at all. I think that everyone today should be on an equal footing, both male and female.
Bryn,
Yeah?
what are the camping sites like at Lucerne?
They're pretty good. They're right down on the lake. That's where we thought about going. Trouble is, it gets very crowded.
Well, we're going the first 2 weeks in July. That's all right, by the way.
Oops.
What have you done?
I think I just managed to save it, but it's gone a bit skinned on top.
It'd be easier if I'd made it myself.
Yeah, I know, but on the other hand, you were the one who rushed in and collared the seat. As far as I remember. Okay,
Tea, coffee.
there's your copy. It's the one. Yeah, that's the one with that sugar.
Okay.
Right.
Well, what's it like? Is there a beach?
Yes, there's a Lido. You have to pay to go into it. That's the only trouble.
I see here, Tom, there's a resolution from our own branch on this vexed problem of excessive overtime for women. And I hope that they're going to be successful, because we get so very tired. We've got no time for leisure or anything. There's one particular person that I know that husband refuses even to wipe a teacup, because he said that her place is in the home after a certain amount of hours she's worked.
Well, what did the firm say about it when you tried them?
Well, you know, you work there, and it's just one of these things, really. You accept overtime when you accept the rule book.
There she was, just walking down the street, singing, shuffling her feet, singing, she looked good, looked fine, looked good, she looked fine, and I knew it was my right.
I'd describe myself as a typical teenager, you know. I do all the sort of things everybody else does. A bit mad, perhaps. Follow the fashions sometimes. I don't just buy them because they're either mod or because they're anything else. I buy them if I like them, you know. I mean, it could be about 2 years behind and I see it and like it, so I buy it. I don't do anything outstanding, you know. I don't go around breaking the law every 5 minutes. I'm not that type. You know, I like my share of the fun, and if there's anything mad doing, I always go. I just like to have a fabulous time, you know. So we're going to the Market Square on Saturday afternoons and have a good time down there. You know, if the weather's okay, we sit down there for hours, just watching people coming by and taking the mick out of them, and just having a big laugh.
See that woman sitting over there with no shoes on? No way. Oh, she's gone. Did you see her? No. Did you smell them? No, imagine. That is your feet. I'm surprised. Yes. See that woman over there?
Yeah, nosy.
What do you mean, her with the sunglasses?
Yeah, the black hat.
Yeah. Looks like she's ready for the Italian.
Riviera, yes.
Oh, that hat. Where? Well, look at that woman. Her coat looks like a draft board, don't it?
I know. Fabulous. I think I'll try it.
I should.
That soldier. Looks like he needs a bit of bresso on his hat, don't you think? It makes me laugh how they always wear the hats so far down, you know. I don't suppose you can see where they're going very well. Oh, dear.
I think we'd better go down Bracebridge and up and round the shops. Yeah, down we that makes sense. Right. Hope we got the gears right this time.
I did got the key.
Make sure that chokes.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, okay. This road's always crowded anyway with children. We're a bit stiff. What's this? It's a terrible road to drive down though, Tom. You know, there's dogs and children and what have you, and they don't seem to care, just dart into the road. It's getting stiff.
I haven't been married very long. I got married shortly after I came to the firm. We're hoping not to have children for a few years. I certainly wouldn't work immediately after I'd had children, although I'd very much like to take up my work again, ultimately. My husband is still away from home for most of the week. He's completing a course in Manchester. He's going to do town and country planning. And it does mean that we shall have been separated for something like the first 9 months of our married life, except for meetings at the weekend. This may seem very peculiar at first, it does to most people, but last year we were 170 miles apart and this year we're 70, so it doesn't seem nearly so bad.
I married rather late in life. My one regret, of course, is that I haven't had any family. I love children, and the only thing that I can do is to spoil my brother's three young children who are here in Nottingham. But I feel that my marriage as a whole is very happy. My husband is very understanding regarding my trade union activities, because without his consent, of course, then I couldn't do half the work that I do in the trade union movement.
I'd like to get married when I was about 21, I think. Well, I don't know. I can't really set a time because, you know, I suppose when I meet the right fellow, you start courting and that, and then get engaged, and then you just get married. So it might be next year, I don't know.
In my opinion, I've always said this, there are two evils, overtime and short time. We go down to the local pub for the odd beer, but invariably, with certain types of friends that I have, we get down to an old natter about voluntary overtime, which is a burning question at the moment in the factory. I feel that at some levels in the trade union movement that women do have to become more aggressive than they would normally be to put over their point regarding the women's activities in the union. I feel that this whole maxim about women having to be 3 times as good as a man to be on their level is quite true. No, you may be not rejoicing, Raymond, but if your firm...
I'll tell you quite frankly, it's interfering with my personal life.
It might be...
I don't want my wife stuck at work till 7 o'clock at night.
But can I just get a word in here?
Then you've got to go... Saluting it, you've got to go in for a bigger basic rate then.
No, but Raymond, let me just tell you.
Everywhere, isn't it?
Look, can I just get a word in here? I've told you that
the floor is open to you, madam.
Thank you very much. We have these resolutions down to our annual conference. Look, it doesn't matter, Hannah. We must get this thrashed out. I'm about round off as you are with all this overtime. But as I've told you, we've got these resolutions down to our conference, and I know they will be carried, but I hope they'll be carried anyway by a huge majority.
Yes.
I met Anne shortly after I came. She'd had a very long period of illness, and I went to visit her in hospital during her second absence. Anne had a very unhappy home background. She's now living on her own and has been since a relatively early age, and we did feel she was particularly lonely, and she was not well enough to return to work. We didn't know quite what to do or how far we could go in interfering with what was, after all, her private life. But I did feel some effort should be made to encourage her to meet some other people. I felt particularly inexperienced, I think, just this time. If you really don't care about people and you don't realise that the problems that they bring to you, which can be very minor almost, if you don't realise how much they mean to them and how far more important they are in their lives, then you're just not going to be no good at the job at all.
I often think I'd like to do something different, but I think, oh, well, if I leave, I've got to go somewhere else and be the junior all over again and work up, you know, until you get to know everybody, and I don't fancy that just yet.
You sit and think, oh, what could I have done, you know, if I'd have had the advantages that you see the younger people are getting today. You realise that you have been robbed through no fault of society, really, that you know, you're just sitting there doing this grinding, repetitive job and knowing full well that there's no hopes of any promotion whatsoever.